You're tuned into the Commissioner's Report with Commissioner Elena Sanders. Stay tuned, stay locked, be right back. Don't go nowhere, y'all. You're tuned into the Commissioner's Report with Commissioner Elena Sanders. I'm excited to talk to you all today and just have this moment of conversing with my neighbors and sharing my thoughts and sharing my beliefs of my county, my country, my state. A lot has gone on in this past few days. 2020 has given us a run for our money, a run for money we don't have. It has turned our lives around. It has changed our economic status. It has changed the way we move about throughout the country. We have changed our lifestyles. It affects our livelihood. But we went through it. Even though we wanted to get back to some normalcy, we made it and we're here. But my talk today is to say we're not through it yet. We can't just sit back and allow certain things to happen when we are a part of a democracy that's supposed to help our people, that's supposed to be there for assistance, a government that is set, that is for the people and supposed to be by the people. But the question sometimes I have is, are we for the people? People may run it, but are we for the people? I always tell many that you are the voice. Your vote is your voice. Your vote is your decision. Who you place in those seats represent you. Who you place in office represent you. Hold us all accountable. That is my statement. As I've said when I have ran for office, and I'm continuing to say now that I'm in office. If we are not holding to this position effectively, hold us accountable, speak to us, tell us, or your vote is your decision on where you want to see your government go. Now, it's not just voting for the most popular person. It's voting for that person who will work for you, who will defend you, who will fight for you, and who will be there for you when you have a problem. That's who you vote for. I'm sitting here and I would say disappointed a little bit in our government because of I don't see some of the urgency or see some of the compassion that we should have for our people, that we should have for those that we represent. Who are we representing? The people or ourselves? I posted something on my page that said leaders, a title does not make you a leader. It's your actions toward the people that you represent that makes you a leader. And if you don't want to be in this position, don't step into it, step down. And I do seriously think that. I seriously believe that. And I hold that wholeheartedly, because if this is not the position for you, then you shouldn't be in it. Public service for me did not start when I became a commissioner. Public service started years ago when I was young and I was placed in a position to help my community, placed in a position to be spokesperson for organizations to speak about things, health and awareness and wellness for our community, as well as breast cancer awareness and various things, giving back to the community, giving back to the undeserved community. So it didn't start when I became a commissioner. It just elevated and gave me a position to be able to speak out more and to be able to be a part of legislation and being a policy maker. That's when it allowed me to get into other positions to turn my public service into something that can really be more beneficial to thousands of people. But when you are stronghold and you're not able to do that, it becomes a disappointment and a little bit of a frustration, because you want to be the person or you want to be a part of a team that helps the community. But when you don't see that done, you wonder, why are we here? Are we here to service the community, or are we here to service ourselves? Our government provided assistance for those who were undeserved during this time. And I'm going to put something in your ear. A lot of Americans were living under the poverty level before this pandemic hit. The pandemic did not turn them into where they are now. It just made the situation worse to where they couldn't get those things, or certain things have occurred. I think our government didn't want to realize how many people that we had living under the level of average income, that was living in poverty. How many homeless people that we had in our community. We have taken a blind eye to it and didn't pay attention to these things. And now that they're coming to the forefront, we have to be reactive because we didn't have a proactive government that set things aside to say, if this occurs, we're going to do this. If that occurs, we're going to do this. We have a plan together that's going to make sure that our citizens don't suffer, that those who are undeserved and those who need assistance, because I wouldn't only just say undeserved. Majority of your Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They are one paycheck away from being homeless or being like that person that's living in the woods, living in the streets, living under bridges. So there can be a time or a situation that you can be just like that undeserved person, or something that happens that you can be that person. Even if you're not living the paycheck to paycheck now, you can be that person tomorrow if something happens. If you're investing in stocks and you put all your money in the stock market, something can happen to where you lose everything. You never know. Tomorrow is never promised. So I always have said, treat people the way you want to be treated, because you never know when you are in that position tomorrow where you will be them, and that person will be the one you have to seek assistance from, because you did not look to other people as your brother's keeper or my sister's keeper, or do what we supposed to be doing. We cannot be on a horseshoe or be in the government that's constantly praying and saying we're going to do this and God help us and make sure we make the right decisions when we don't look out for God's people. Why are we here? Why are we here? Let's take it a little further. The federal government gave money to states. Some states refused it. Can you imagine that? Refuse the funds to help those who may be in their state, because that is not touching home. Some of them refused it because either it's a party they didn't want to take assistance from, they didn't want to listen to, either it's personal reasons, personal vendettas, but they were not thinking about the people in their communities, the people in their state, the people in their governments that could be suffering, that those funds could help. They were not thinking about that. Are we thinking about self, or are we thinking about the people who we represent? So the federal government sent those funds to states. The states sent those funds to the counties and the local governments, as far as your cities and so forth. Who are we helping? I love living in my community. I've been here going on 15 years. If I didn't, I would have moved long time ago. My child went through the school system here, honor student, and so much more. Who are we serving? May 2020, we received $10 million that our president outlined in his executive order, reiterated on Tuesday, that we are supposed to provide assistance to our community. Who are we serving? I have asked over and over and over, and question after question, what are we going to do as a community? What are we going to do as a government? What are we going to do as the legislation, the policy makers of this great county, to assist our community? I got crickets, or I was told later. But our people are hurting now. I was told we had to finish a task before we move on to something else. But our people are hurting now, which means that we are a government and we can't multitask, and we can't work two projects at one time. We are an organization that functions with people that works in various departments that can assist in various areas. And why are we not helping our people in our community? Yesterday, I sent a proposal out to my board, to our board, my team, my colleagues, suggesting what we can do for our community with that $10 million that we received, which was based on the assistance, the need of each city that represents this wonderful county. Majority of it came from the city of Covington, which holds the west side of Newton County. So who are we serving? Yes, the assistance should be provided for the entire county because we do represent the entire county, but I'm going to put this out there. The entire county does not vote for their commissioner. Certain individuals in specific districts vote for their commissioner. So guess what? They're expecting their commissioner to represent them because they put that person in place. If that is the case, then we need to have at-large voting where everybody in the county votes for all five of their commissioners. But that is not the case. It's not like other counties. I believe our neighboring county is at-large to where they vote for all their commissioners. We are not set as that type of government in this county. We're set up to where those individuals that live in that area vote for that commissioner to represent them, to make sure that's what's happening in that district is taken care of. And they look up to that commissioner to make sure it's taken care of. Yes, those commissioners come together collectively to make sure that they're taking care of an entire county. But those individuals voted that person in to take care of them and the area in which they live. If we want it to be something different, let's get with our policymakers on the state level and change our form of government to make sure we have an at-large voting and all decisions that are made are fully countywide. And it doesn't place that pressure on the back of that person that you represent to make sure not only are they making decisions for their district correctly, but they're also making decisions for their county. But that decision would be only made to where it's countywide. So all of the citizens are voting for every political officer that sits in a county position. Make it at large if we want that to be. We say we are one, but are we one when we're not taking care of every individual in this community and certain areas are getting more care than the others? Are we one? That's the question that I have. Going back to the CARES Act funds that we received, the $10 million that we received in May of 2020, and it's now August. We're in the middle of August, and nothing has been done. So I'm going to tell you the plan that I propose to our community, the plan I propose to my colleagues, the plan that I propose to this county. Our president stated that those funds are to be used for assistance. And coincidentally, we had some residents that came to the last Board of Commissioners meeting and read the executive order word from word to us and say, what are we doing for our community? Now, I'm going to tell you something. Now that I'm speaking out, guess what? Attack's going to come at me. Various things going to come at me, but that's okay. Because I accepted this role to take on everything, and God would have not allowed me to be in this position if He did not think I can handle every situation. If He did not think that I can handle the job to take care of His people, and if He did not think that I can handle the attacks that will come because I speak out. I don't sit back and allow certain things to happen to individuals because I was put in a position to take care, to represent people, and not to hurt, harm, or be in a position for selfish gain or have a come up. That's not what I'm here for. The proposal that I submitted to my colleagues was, we have $10 million that has been sitting there since May of 2020. Since no one has spoken out, I have asked 5 times for this to be placed on the agenda to have a discussion. I was told that once that budget is finalized, we're going to place this on the agenda. So I'm looking forward for it to being on the next agenda on the 3rd Tuesday so we can discuss it. Since the proposal has not been submitted, I submitted a proposal. The proposal that I submitted was $3,000 to 400 businesses and small businesses and nonprofits in our county. $2,000 to 3,000 renters in our community for assistance. For those who don't know, the moratorium for renters, it actually was removed. It ended July 31st. We have not done anything like the other counties, our neighboring counties, to put a stop order, to extend or put something in place so children, seniors, families would not be placed on the streets. Some activists in the community went out to various neighbors and helped them file paperwork so they would not be placed out in the streets. So before I get into this, I want to go through some myths. People always think that some people who are receiving government assistance are just lazy. Now, there may be some, but that is not the case for all. You never know someone's situation unless you sat down and talked to them to hear their story. You can't make judgment or pass judgment on someone if you have not sat down to hear their full story and find out why they are in situation. You never know. You don't know if a person had a spouse that died and became a single parent and those finances are not there anymore to where they had to seek government assistance. You don't know if a grandmother had to take on the children to where her income cannot take care of those kids, to where she had to seek government assistance. You don't know the situation. There are families with the father in the home to where they have lost jobs, to where they had to seek government assistance or become homeless or living in their cars because they cannot go into a homeless shelter because the father is present. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. You don't know if someone had a disability where they got hurt, probably in the military. We have a lot of homeless veterans who have fought for this country, this United States of America, and is homeless because our country does not take care of our veterans when they come home from fighting for us, for our freedom, so that we can live comfortably in our homes and go to our jobs in peace or go round about the country in peace, because these men and women who have fought for us, our country is not taking care of them, and they are homeless on the streets. If you know the percentage of homeless veterans, it should make you sick to your stomach. It should be a disappointment because they have fought for our country. So before you pass judgment on someone and say that they're lazy, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, sit down and have a conversation with them and find out their story. Don't base their story on someone you came in contact previously. Oh, I met this person, this has happened, so I know they're going through this. No, you don't, because you have not sat down to have a conversation with the individuals to find out why. And because you never sat down to find out why, you don't know how to help. You're just passing judgment because, I don't know, maybe they're come from a certain culture or background and you assume that everyone's that way. That's thinking small mind. That's being small minded because you have not reached outside or jumped outside the box to say, hey, that may not be the case. So we cannot pass judgment on assistance or helping someone thinking because of this, they are that. That's not fair. And who are we to judge? So the proposal, as I stated, was $3,000 to 400 small businesses or nonprofits in the community. As we know, our nonprofits are driving what's happening, from the shelters to providing food assistance and various things. And they depend on the government grants in order to assist. Some counties told me that they gave a portion of their funds to the United Way to set up renter assistance so that they can assist with that process, or they actually go through the application process through that nonprofit. Smart idea. You had governments that came together and put various things in place to give the funds to the landlords to make sure those people are not put out of their homes. That's a great idea. But what are we doing? What is every community doing to assist? So $3,000 to 400 businesses and small businesses, and I stress small businesses and nonprofits. $2,000 to 3,000 renters. That's a total of $7.2 million, leaving $2.81 million out of the $10 million we received, but the government approved for us to have $21 million. Let me tell you why I did not say homeowners. I'm a homeowner. Homeowners have more laws that protect them and have a lot in place to assist them. For those who did not know, and I found out a lot of homeowners did not know this information, so I take responsibility, who I did know, of providing that information, or as a government, that we did not provide this information to our homeowners that may have been going through situations. Homeowners were able to file for COVID forbearance up to a year and some over a year who are still on that. And once they get out of that COVID forbearance, they were able to submit for a loan modification, which can decrease their loan amount, decrease the interest rate, or refinance, where those funds will be tacked on to the end of their mortgage, but a year worth of mortgage to extend so you be able to stay in your home. That is something that you would not mind because it's only a year extra added onto your home and the interest rate was decreased. So there's so many laws, especially for those who have FHA loans, to where you can't just put a homeowner out of their house without going through proper procedures that's been put in place by the government. So there's so many protections for homeowners in the United States of America versus those who are renters who are renting from someone who can be put out of their house in 30 days, or that landlord goes and get a judgment against that person. A lot of renters do not know their rights. They do not know that landlord has to go through the court system in order to evict them. But there are landlords out there that's telling them they have to go. And because these renters don't know their rights, they're out in the streets or living in hotel rooms that they cannot afford because they have to pay it weekly because they did not know their rights. We also need to put a home buyer program in place to turn renters into homeowners. If you look at the prices that renters are paying nowadays for 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, it is astronomical and it is insane. But we know the market has increased. I'm not going against the landlords that are put in place. I know the market has increased, but we can turn these renters into homeowners, which will bring more property taxes to the place where you live. A lot of times these renters do not know, or a lack of knowledge of how to even start the process of becoming a homeowner. And they see it as an impossible goal to reach because the process has not been put before them to understand. So lack of knowledge that we are holding and not informing these renters that they can become homeowners and have their own home and not worry about someone putting them out of a place where they live or having a roof over their head for their children and their families. Lack of knowledge. My people shall perish. That's biblical. And we as a government should be providing that knowledge because we are set up to take care of a people. Our community is changing. We're becoming more culturally diverse. Way of life is changing, and the government needs to change with it. It is so important that we step into positions and do the position the way it should be. Not change laws to fit us, not change various things because we want to hinder certain people for doing certain things. That's not how government should run. We can agree to disagree, but we still have to take care of our people. We're unique and we're individual, and we will disagree. We will not always agree on every situation, on everything that's put before us, but we have to work together. It's the government. We're in the land of the free, the home of the brave. We want to keep saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands one nation under God. How can we be that one nation under God when we do not take care of God's people? When the federal government has already set a standard, but on the state and local level, it's not there. How can we pray and say that we're taking care of our people when we're really not? So why are you truly stepping in these positions if you don't want to help, if you don't want to assist, if you don't want to be that public servant? Step down. Let someone else who wants to help their community or be of service to the community so that they can take care of the people in the community. It's not always taking care of people who need assistance. We have a lot of people in assistance. If you look at the amount of renters that we have in the United States of America, that number will shock you as well. So it's time for us as a government, and as I stated earlier, shouts out to Jay-Z and Will Smith, who's putting their dollars together to help those renters to become homeowners. It's now the time. It's now the time for us to step as a government to take care of our people so that they can see the light at the end of the tunnel and progress to the next level and possibly show them ways to get off assistance. We complain about people being on assistance, but what are we doing to help them get off assistance? If that's all they know, then what are we doing to help them get off of the program? What programs we put in place to help them get to the next level, to be sustainable, to be independent, to where they're not depending on the government? Stop complaining, but find ways to help your neighbor get to the next level. What are we doing? Why are we here? This is Commissioner Sanders with the Commissioner's Report. See you next time.